Hello students. Today we are going to learn one more topic in the grammar, that is subject-verb agreement. So in any sentence we have subject and we have verb. So whatever the sentence may be, whether it is an interrogative sentence or a declarative sentence or an imperative sentence or an exclamatory sentence, subject and verb are the necessary elements of a sentence. So a subject and verb should be in agreement, means it should agree. That means like subject, if it is singular, the verb also should be singular, and if it is plural, the verb also should be plural. So we have certain rules in English to follow to make this agreement between subject and verb when constructing the sentences. So subject means to whom we are referring in a sentence, or of whom the sentence is speaking about, or of what the sentence is speaking about, becomes the subject of the sentence. It may not usually be a person. Sometimes we may refer to an object and sometimes we may refer to a situation. So, how to know the subject of the sentence is to question, like, of what this sentence is speaking about, or of whom this sentence is speaking about. When you question, like, whatever the answer you get, the answer becomes the subject of the sentence. And we usually use verbs also in sentence. So the subject and verb together must agree in number. Number in the sense, either it is singular or plural. If the subject is singular, then the verb also must be singular. And if a subject is plural, then the verb also must be plural. Let us see this example, a very simple and basic and silly example, of course, to make you people easily understand this. The dog chases the cat. The dog chases the cat. So, in this sentence, the sentence tells us something about the dog. So, the dog becomes the subject. So, here, as the subject is singular, the verb also should be in singular. Chases, of course, the form of this word may look like plural, but with third person singular, we use yes, or we add s or es to the base form of the verb. By looking at this yes, you should not think that this is the plural form of the verb. So this is a singular form of the verb. So with a singular subject, we use singular verb. Here, we change the subject, like we have changed the number of the subject. That means we have changed that singular into plural, the dogs. Now, when you get the plural subject, the verb we use should also be plural. So the dogs chase the cat. This is a very simple example. So whatever the sentence that you take, if the subject is singular, then the verb also should be in singular and vice versa. A phrase or clause between subject and verb doesn't change the number of the subject. So whatever extra information that you are adding to the sentence to give it a complete sense doesn't affect the subject or the verb in a sentence. Let us see the example. A can of lima beans, a can of lima beans sits on the shelf. A can of lima beans. So here we are talking about can, and this is an extra information which is added, of which can we are referring to. A can of lima beans. So this is nothing to do with the subject. The main subject of the sentence is can. So the verb what we are using in the sentence should agree with this subject can, not with the additional information that we are providing. So here can is singular and the verb that we are using also is in singular. The verb sits agrees with the subject can, not with beans, because beans is not the subject. Here we are referring to can, and of course, to make you people understand which can you are referring to, we have given an additional information, that is a can of lima beans. Now let us take one more example. The women who went to the meeting were bored. women, which women we are referring to? Who went to the meeting? This is an additional clause that we have added to make you people understand to whom you are referring to. So this doesn't make any difference to the subject or the verb. So what is the subject of the sentence? Women. So the verb which you are using should agree with the subject. Women is plural, and so we have used a plural verb here. So a phrase or clause between the subject and the verb, between the subject and the verb, doesn't change the number of the subject. If there are indefinite pronouns as subjects, that means each, either, neither, one, no one, nobody, nothing, anyone, anybody, such pronouns, many are there, a list I've provided you here. So if such indefinite pronouns acts as subject of a sentence, then how the changes come to the verb? Like if you are referring to singular indefinite pronouns, then it takes a singular verb. For example, each does a good deal of work around the office. Each is a singular indefinite pronoun. So when you are using singular indefinite pronouns as given here, each, either, neither, one, nobody, nothing, anyone, anybody, anything, someone, somebody, something, everyone, everybody, everything. Like these are some of the examples of singular indefinite pronouns. So when singular indefinite pronouns are acting as subjects in the sentence, then the verb that we have to use also should be singular. Each does. Does is a singular verb that we are using. Each does a good deal of work around the office. When a plural indefinite verb is used as a subject in a sentence, that means several, few, both, many. Let us see in the example. Both is a plural subject, plural indefinite verb. So it is used as a subject in the sentence. So we are referring to more than one. And the verb also should be in plural. Both do a good deal of work around the office. So when you are using singular indefinite pronouns, we use singular verbs. When you are using plural indefinite pronouns, we use plural verbs. Some indefinite pronouns may be either singular or plural. Sometimes it happens. So if such a situation comes, like you have to remember one thing. With uncountables, we have to use singular. With countables, we have to use plural. Either singular or plural. So these are some of the indefinite verbs which are used either singular or plural. Some, any, none, all, most. Let us see in the example. Some of the sugar is on the floor. Some of the sugar is on the floor. Here, the some is referring to sugar. Sugar is an uncountable noun. And so with uncountable things, we use singular verb. Some of the sugar is on the floor. So we have used a singular verb here because it is the sum is referring to sugar which is uncountable. Sugar is uncountable. Therefore, the sentence has a singular verb. Now let us see one more example with the same words. Some of the marbles are on the floor. This sum is referring to marbles and marbles is countable. So we are using a plural verb here. Some of the marbles are on the floor. So this is the difference that you have to remember. Sometimes indefinite pronouns may be either used as singular or plural. So if you get such a situation, like if you get such a context, what you have to do is you have to check out whether that is referring to an uncountable noun or a countable noun. If it is referring to an uncountable noun, use a singular verb. If it is referring to a countable noun, use a plural verb. Sometimes we get compound subjects, like more than one subject we get in a sentence. Both the subjects are joined by and. So when you get such things, when they are referring to two different things, then they are treated as plural, and so you have to make use of a plural verb. See in this example, a pencil and an eraser make writing easier. So both two things we are referring, and two things, the compound subject we call it as, because we have more than one here. We are referring to more than one and two different things combined by end. So if you get such a context, like as it is a compound subject, it has to be agreed, or the verb has to agree, like the verb has to be in plural to agree with this compound subject. With compound subject joined by or nor, the previous rule is like compound subjects joined by end. When they are joined by end, it becomes plural. When they are joined by or nor, the verb agrees with the subject nearer to it. That means, see in this example, neither the director nor the actors are following the lines. That means here we have one singular subject and plural subject. Both the things are combined by using nor, neither nor, as the subject near to the verb is plural, so the verb also has to be in plural. So this is one rule which you have to remember. Neither the director nor the actors is plural, and so the verb which is very near to that should be in plural. Now let us see one more example. The same example, the place of the subject is changed. Neither the actors nor the director. Now director has come very near to the verb, and director is singular, so the verb also should be singular. So when the compound subjects joined by or nor, the verb agrees with the subject nearer to it. This is the rule. And inverted subjects must agree with the verb. Inverted subjects must agree with the verb. Usually we get the subject at the beginning of the sentence. Sometimes it might go in other way, like we get the subject after the verb. But you have to be very careful in finding the subject, and the subject always agree with the verb. Here see, waiter, there is a fly in my soup. Fly. So this is singular, and so the verb also should be in singular. There is a fly. Or if it is plural, then the verb also should be in plural. There are flies. Like usually we get subject and verb, but here there is a verb and subject, but we have to be very careful in identifying the subject. How are the relatives taking the bad news? Here also the same thing. How are the relatives taking the bad news? So we are talking about relatives, and relatives is the subject of the sentence. So the verb that is used is also a plural. Now, collective nouns. Sometimes we get collective nouns in a sentence. Maybe they may be singular or plural depending on the meaning. According to the context, we have to decide whether it is singular or plural. So, jury has awarded custody to the grandmother. Here in this sentence, jury is acting as a singular. And so we have to make use of a singular verb, has awarded. The jury members, here now we are referring to individual members in the jury committee. Like jury members, then it has become a plural. And so we have to use a plural verb. Have been arguing for 5 days. The jury members have been arguing for 5 days. Titles of single entities, that means the titles of books, titles of journals, titles of organizations, titles of countries, etc. They're always singular. They're always singular. For example, The Grapes of Wrath takes a long time to read. Grapes of Wrath is a name of a title of a novel or a book, and it has to take a singular verb, like, The Grape of Wrath takes a long time to read. So this is the title of the book. It always should follow with a singular verb. Plural form subjects, that means sometimes subjects, they are in plural form. The spelling of that particular subject is in plural form. That doesn't mean that the word is plural. So it has to take always a singular verb. See here, mumps is a contagious disease. It's the name of a disease. And of course, when you see the form of the word, it is in plural because it ends in s, so we feel like it is in plural. But the form of the word is plural, but not the meaning. So this such words which has a plural form, Now they have to be followed by a singular verb. Plural form subjects with singular or plural meaning take a singular or plural verb depending on meaning. Sometimes, if it is used as singular or plural, then it has to take a singular or plural verb depending on the context or depending on the meaning, like politics, economics, etc. Politics is an interesting subject. Politics is the name of a subject and it has to take a singular verb. The politics of the situation were complicated. Here, politics is used, as a plural form, in the plural form, and so we have got a plural verb. Politics refers to many aspects of a situation. Therefore, the sentence has a plural verb. So you have to understand the meaning of that, then accordingly you have to make use of the verb. Sometimes, plural form subjects with a plural meaning takes a plural verb, like scissors, trousers. They have two parts in that. The objects which has the implements which has two parts, usually they have plural form: scissors, trousers, shorts, pants, spectacles, like such that. Scissors, when you get such words in a sentence, they always follow or followed by a plural verb. The scissors are on the table, because it has two parts, so you have to treat it as a plural only. The scissors are on the table. The pair of scissors is on the table. The pair, when you get such an expression, that indicates a singular. The pair of scissors is on the table. In this example, the subject of the sentence is pair, therefore the verb must agree with it. With subject and subjective complement of different number, the verb always agrees with the subject. See here, my favorite topic is poems by Longfellow. This is the name of the topic. Of course, you are referring to here. The subject of the sentence is my favorite topic. So the verb has to agree with the subject itself. Poems by Longfellow are my favorite topic. Poems by Longfellow. Here the subject again changed. Poems is a plural subject. And so the verb we used is also a plural one. With one of those, we use a plural verb. See the example. Hannah is one of those people who like to read comic books. So such kind of expression, one of those who. Hannah is one of those people who like to read. Here, what is the subject of the sentence? Hannah. And who refers to Hannah only. But here we are using a plural verb. So because we got an expression here, one of those people, that means there are many people here. Among those many people, Hannah is one. When you get such an expression, we have to make use of plural verb. With the only one of those, if we keep an article the before the only one, before one of those, then of course the verb becomes singular. Hannah is the only one of those people who likes to read comic books. Here in this example, no one else except Hannah likes to read comics book. That means we are referring to only one person. Therefore, the singular verb is the correct uh, form of the verb to use. With the number of, use a singular verb. If you get the article the before number of, use a singular verb. If you get an article a before number of, use a plural verb. That is the difference. Let us see with example. The number of volunteers grows each year. The number, that means here we are taking it as a single unit. And so we are using a singular verb. A number of people grow tomatoes each year. Here, a number in the sense we are referring to each and every individual. So, here we have to take a plural verb. So, here, like we are referring to all the people, and so we have to take a plural verb. The difference is when you use the article before number of, then we use singular verb. If you use a article before number of, then we use plural verb. With every and many a, use singular verb. Every man, woman, and child participates in the lifeboat drill. Here we have used every. So every man, woman, and a child participant. That means individually, each and every one we are referring as an individual person. So we have to use singular verb. Here, one more expression, many a. Many a child dreams about becoming famous one day. So here we have used many a expression. When you get many a in a sentence, then you have to use a singular verb. So with every and many a, we use a singular verb. So these are some of the rules which we have to remember when we are constructing sentences and which are related to the subject verb agreement. These are the 12 rules that we have to remember which are related to subject verb agreement. And we have to be very careful when we are using, when we have to be very careful to identify the subject in a sentence and also the number of the subject, that is whether the subject is plural or singular, because based on that only we make use of the verb also. If it is a singular subject, we use a singular verb. If it is a plural subject, we use a plural verb. So whatever the additional the information that is provided uh, about the subject doesn't make any difference to the verb. And this is all about subject verb agreement. Thank you.